We all know Yu-Gi-Oh!, the comfort food of millennials and early Gen Zs. A crazy turn one or you lose, negate everything, paragraphs of text, no you can't have fun, complicated strategy card game meant for kids. Its global influence has even helped kids learn the dangers of drug abuse.
My friends and I have faced many battles, and we have always dueled without drugs. I wouldn't be the world's best duelist if I smoked marijuana.
Hey man, stop that! Drugs are bad and can cause a lot of harmful effects to your body and the people around you too.
Thanks, DJ. I really appreciate that, man. So should we play a game to pass the time?
Sure man, I would love to. What did you have in mind?
How about some Yu-Gi-Oh?
I'd rather do crack.
Already out of here.
It may not be Pokemon or Magic the Gathering levels of fame, but this series has rightfully earned the bronze medal in the TCG Hall of Fame. With the release of Chapter 134 titled The New Game, Konami's money eyes began to roll as they saw an opportunity in the form of Dungeon Dice Monsters. Dungeon Dice Monsters was a board game spin-off series based on the one from the manga and anime. They even made a mediocre video game about it featuring the cast from Season 0. It was a cool and different concept based off the Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise we knew and loved. The main problem was the fact there were way too many moving parts you had to buy separately. The monsters, dice, movement boards, cards, you basically needed a full-time job just to afford this game, which is exactly how Yu-Gi-Oh! Is nowadays. Due to the high cost in production and just the lack of fans buying the product, the game was cancelled after only 4 sets, even though it was planned for at least 7. Today, I want to look at the source of the problem and find out whether Dungeon Dice Monsters truly was a flop from the start.
So put on the furry suit, grab your dice, and spend months passionately creating a commercial failure as we open up the Dungeon Dice Monsters arc, the brand new game.
With Pegasus defeated, not only has Yugi been crowned the king of games in a single card game, but he has also freed the souls of his grandpa and the Kaiba brothers. On behalf of Pegasus, Crocus congratulates Yugi and Joey for their victory.
Due to his illness, Mr. Pegasus will be unable to attend.
That illness being death. Very contagious and seemingly uncurable. He gives Yugi a Ties of Friendship card, worth jack shit, and it has 0 use in competitive play, as well as the prize money for $3 million. Must be nice to have a cash prize in Yu-Gi-Oh! All we get are a bunch of cards, a little trophy, and a couple of plushies. This is at the World Championship, by the way. On the way out the mansion, Mokuba has a touching reunion with Seto. After the waterworks, Kaiba thanks Yugi for saving his brother, but swears they will have a fair rematch.
And I don't even know your name.
I've been called many things through the ages. Pharaoh, Yu-Gi-Oh!
I'ma stop you right there. Nobody calls you that. As the gang run along home, the evil spirit in Bakura's heart is happy he got the real prize in the Millennium Eye from Pegasus. You know, we shit on 4Kids all the time for the unnecessary changes they make to the original source material, but I'm okay with this change. That was weird. Yugi returns home and reunites with his grandpa. As they catch up, they run into the American duelist Rebecca Hawkins. She's mad at Solomon for stealing her blue.
Dude, stop! This is filler.
Moving on! When Kaiba returns home, he fires the Big Five, who worked with Pegasus to take control of Kaiba Corp. Meanwhile, he tests his latest invention, a virtual video game known as Duel Monsters Quest, turning Yu-Gi-Oh! Into an MMORPG. But just then, Kaiba is immediately attacked and betrayed once again by the Big Five. So Yugi has to...
Also filler.
This might be a filler arc, but did you know there was a video game called The False-Bound Kingdom for the GameCube that was heavily inspired by it? It was a really fun concept. Yu-Gi-Oh! Monsters in 3v3 Pokemon battles. Really cool idea. Alright, Now let's talk about Dungeon Dice. A week later, things return to normal for everyone, but Solomon sees a threat to his business as in the horizon is a brand new game shop. Not giving a shit about Grandpa losing his job, Yugi checks on the new game shop.
What is it?
Dungeon Dice Monsters.
Wow, this looks like a pretty cool game, but I wonder how you play it.
Don't worry about it. It will not last long. The card gamers return to school, only to run into the new transfer student, Duke Devlin, the owner of the hit new game shop. Duke uses his dice skills to rizz up the class. Feeling like his alpha male presence is being threatened, Joey challenges Duke to a game. If Duke can somehow move the die into his hand without touching the cup, then he wins. With the average IQ of a Yu-Gi-Oh player, Joey is tricked into Duke's obvious trap and loses. Joey might have lost in dice, but he gives Duke a real manly challenge. They will battle in duel monsters. If Duke wins, then Joey has to do whatever he says for a week. But if Wheeler wins...
And I want you to close down your stinking shop!
Basically, Joey, you're saying that if you win in a children's card game, then you want a bunch of employees to lose their jobs and be unable to financially provide for their families. God, I love Yu-Gi-Oh! Duke accepts, although he's never played a Duel Monsters before, so they make a deal. Both players will open a bunch of new packs and make a deck out of whatever they get. I feel like back then you could do that just because Yu-Gi-Oh! Used to be a lot more generic with their effects and how they're played. Nowadays, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is so archetype focused that if you took a bunch of packs and made a random 40 card deck, 90% of the deck would literally be unplayable. The duel begins, and to raise the stakes, Duke livestreams the entire event to the whole world. Joey might be an idiot, but his skills and experience from Duelist Kingdom gives him the edge to wipe the floor with Duke. But with a simple combo, he OTKs Joey and wins the duel.
Put it on.
Okay, now put it on and bark for me.
We're learning a lot about Duke today, aren't we?
Upset by the disrespect, Yugi pushes the puberty button and challenges Devlin to a duel to rescue Joey. Duke accepts, but on one condition. They won't battle in Duel Monsters. They will compete in the game he created, Dungeon Dice Monsters. And so it begins, the ultimate battle between Yugi and Duke Devlin.
Dungeon Dice is a game that's purely based on luck. Each player selects 15 pieces to use as their deck. On each die is a combination of 6 different crests: Summon, Movement, Magic, Attack, Defense, and Trap. Once per turn, you roll 3 die. If you roll 2 summon crests with the exact same number, you can summon 1 creature. Any other type of crest you get goes into your crest counter for later.
Also, you legally have to yell, "Go dice roll," and dimension the dice when playing the game. Let me demonstrate. Go dice roll! Ladies.
Monsters are numbered 1 through 4. The higher the number, the harder it is to summon, but the stronger the monster.
The funny thing is that Duke explains this as they go, and then proceeds to shit on Yugi for not automatically understanding all the rules.
I knew that you weren't the real deal, Yugi.
Screw the dice. At that point, I would just throw hands.
The mighty mage! He busted out that level 4 monster like he's played Dungeon Dice Monsters for years!
The game is 100% luck. What are you talking about? Once Yugi manages to summon a monster, the king of game gets his groove back, although it'll be a challenge with Duke's expertise. Before the ass whooping can continue, Duke explains why he hates Yugi so much. Before the events of Duelist Kingdom, Devlin was in development of Dungeon Dice. Proud of his creation, he hits up Pegasus with a "You Up" text to talk about funding for his game. A few days later, Duke accepted the fact he was ghosted, but it turns out Pegasus not only opened the email, but responded for a meetup. Unaware of the Millennium Eye, Duke is infatuated with the skills of Pegasus. After his victory, Maximilian gives his seal of approval to make Dungeon Dice Monsters a global success after Duelist Kingdom is finished. But he died, so yeah. So not only did Dungeon Dice Monsters fail in real life, but also in universe. Duke Devlin has it rough right now.
You expect me to believe that someone like you could defeat a great game master like Maximilian Pegasus? You can't even hold your own in Dungeon Dice Monsters!
You expect me to believe you beat Demon Souls? You can't even beat Cancer! That is the level of ridiculousness we are dealing with right now. Once Yugi learns about the power of Google, the game becomes much simpler, as now he's able to hold his own against Devlin, and even take out one of his 3 heart points. Of course, Duke won't go down without a fight. Once he summons his ace, Orgoth the Relentless, which they eventually made into a card, the battle becomes a lot more fierce. With both sides now down to 1 heart remaining, Yugi needs to believe in the heart of the dice. When he rolls, his victory is assured. He summons his ace monster, Dark Magician, and manages to destroy Orgoth the Relentless. It seems like Yugi will win, but Devlin has one more trick up his sleeve.
Say hello to Monster Cannon! Monster Cannon?
Monster Cannon?
Monster Cannon!
It's a good thing Duke fucked up and made Dark Magician overpowered as hell with 5 different abilities. Yugi stops the Monster Cannon and manages to beat the creator of Dungeon Dice Monsters. Okay, now we can call Yugi the king of games. With his career ruined, Duke apologizes for his actions. He turns a new leaf and becomes friends with Yugi and the gang. The end. And that's the end of the Dungeon Dice arc. Now, if you didn't know, there are some differences between the anime and the manga. In the manga, Duke had an abusive father named Mr. Clown, who wanted to get back at Solomon Moto for losing in a shadow game to him. You know for a fact Duke was bullied when his dad is legally named Mr. Clown. Mr. Clown forced Duke to create Dungeon Dice Monsters and defeat Yugi as a form of comeback. When they first meet, he challenges Joey to a few games of dice and cards. Yugi then plays Duke in cards and manages to win. The next day, they enter the new game shop and check out Dungeon Dice. Mr. Clown sets them up and makes it out like Yugi stole from the shop. He confiscates the Millennium Puzzle and has him play Duke Devlin in a game of DDM. Uh-oh, Yugi has to play a serious game by himself without the Pharaoh? Oh man, he's fucked. Yami Bakura gets involved and Yugi's Millennium Puzzle is destroyed by the jealous Mr. Clown, which all this happens later in the anime by the possessed bandit Keith. Yugi wins via the power of friendship, but Mr. Clown attempts to kill Yugi and then accidentally burns the building down when attempting to solve the puzzle himself. Joey comes to the rescue, but decides to just watch Yugi solve the puzzle as he burns alive. Once he finishes, they run out. The end. So pretty much they moved a lot of what happened at the end of the Dungeon Dice arc to the beginning of the Battle City arc with the Rare Hunters. Dungeon Dice Monsters is honestly a really cool concept, and I loved playing the Game Boy Advance game, but I understand why a physical release didn't do that well. I think it would be really cool if they made an online digital version of the game. Like, that would be awesome. Because for me, I feel like most of the time, the spin-off games of Yu-Gi-Oh! Are a lot more fun than just actually playing the regular game sometimes. My favorite one being Duelist of the Roses for the PS2. Fucking love that game. But yeah, that's about it. Let me know your thoughts for the Dungeon Dice arc. Thank you guys very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, the whole YouTube shebang, and I'll see you next time. Bye.